a video on something that I just want to have a faff around with. So I saw probably an Instagram short of someone making dim sums, and she just, instead of fancy folding them, she basically just squeezed them in her hand, put the square of pastry in her hand, teaspoon of filling, and then squeezed it. And I kind of thought, that's great, is that? I'll have a go at that. Because the idea of making dim sums or making raviolis or tortellinis or tortellonis or all those type of things with all the fancy folding, you just kind of think, oh, if I'm having 6 people around for dinner and I'm going to give them 6 each, that's a lot of work and it's a lot of faff, and we can just fold them into each other. I think that'd be great. Now, I'm going to do some other things as well. Now, the only problem is I couldn't get proper dim sum wrappers, so I had to buy samosa wrappers. So I don't know if these are going to work in the same kind of way. And then I was a little bit slightly worried that they were a little bit too thin, and they're a long strip. So I kind of thought what we'll do is we'll make one and we'll test it, see if it works. So I just want to wet it and then stick it all together to start off with, to make it thicker, because I think the cooking process will want to make it boil to bits. I'm going to deep fry some as well, just out of interest, but if we make that like that, and then I think we'll just have to roll it. You see, I'm already faffing, aren't I? But then if we roll it just to get rid of any air pockets, then I think this will suffice as a dim sum wrapper. Maybe it needs maybe it needs egg on instead. I think it needs egg on instead. Is it? Let's just do one and we'll see how we go. So that's a bit too, that's not going to work. This is not going to work. That's not going to work. Let's try it in a oneer. So I think these might be a bit too stiff. I don't think this is going to work. So she kind of just did. I've got a teaspoon. I don't want to have. I'm not going to go out and get some proper dim sum wrappers. But I made this. This will be in part of the next part of the video. So she just got a little bit like that and just did that, and then squeezed it together. No, I don't think it's going to work. No, it's going to be too much in that one. So, magic. She was a lot smaller than me, so I think her hands were a lot smaller. So, make a little pocket, put less in. Of course, we want more in because we're greedy. Now, see, I haven't done that right. And then just lick your finger, push it all together. They're not gonna, no, they're gonna split. That's going good. I'm gonna have to get some better wrappers. I don't have to make some pasta. I don't have to do that. No, so we should be back at a later date. Well, straight after this, with some better wrappers. I'll just have to have something else for my dinner. Make this fish stick, seafood stick, not fish stick, seafood stick mousse. There is 7 seafood sticks in there. That's about 90 grams, and then 3 we're just going to chop it up and shred and leave that kind of look like whole, and then we've got a little bit of texture. So that's 3, and if we just do that, what are we going to do? I don't know if we're going to do, don't really want to do half and half. I think that'll be okay. Yeah, I think that'll be alright. So that's that. Mix those around, so they're kind of like shredded up into the little bits like that. And then these we're going to combine with just a bit of, see now I'm covered in a seafood stick. Those we're going to chop up and combine with some egg white. For some reason I think egg white's the way to go. So we'll just chop them up to make them smaller. I've got a little hand liquidizer, blender, food processor, that's the word I'm looking for. Why can I never remember food processor? I can never remember food processor. But it's a little bit too big, so we're going to use the stick blender on this. So those in there, and now I've got fish on my hands again. Why on earth did I wash them if I was going to touch more fish? I don't know. So 3 in there, 7 in there. Egg. So I'm just going to use the egg white. And I haven't got the blender out, but not to worry. So I just need to, I'm just going to bind it with this. I don't particularly want it that rich, but that will get you transfer. Egg yolks and little eggshells will go in the compost. So I need the blender out, don't I? Hang on. Right, just whisk it slightly, just to, so when we pour it in, it doesn't all go in, all in one go. I need a cloth, I've just made a mess with some egg. I'm not particularly very tidy, if I'm all honest, and will this stretch? Just so. How much? Half of that. And then get the blender in and see what happens. Just going to take all that, maybe. Now, I'm not going to season it because these seafood sticks are already kind of quite salty. Let's put all that in. So, everything is at room temperature at the moment, so it will firm up. So, and I want to properly give it a blitzing with this hand blender to kind of make it go a little bit spongy. So when the Thais talk about fish balls, they want to be spongy, and I think we want the same here. And generally, we get a spongy texture through working something. So working it over like that. So get a bit of a build up in the bottom of there. So I want that out of there. So when we're going to put it in the fridge, so it'll firm up in the fridge. So they want to be out of there like that. Don't have to be too fastidious. This is the only problem when you make small amounts of things. I'll pause this bit, you don't need to see me faffing around. There we go, that's given it proper pureeing. So, I think that's the right kind of ratio. Anyway, so, difficult thing to clean these without getting your finger in there. So you can go around and try and get as much out like that. Or, we can bang it on your hand. So bang it on your hand like that. Don't bang it on the pot, on the pot, because it'll want to crack it. But if you just bang it on your hand like that, we'll get most of that out like that. So, that into wash. We will put some pepper in. I think if I was doing double the amount, I think I'd just use a whole egg. Oh yeah, and with the pepper thing, with the pepper mill, how tight that is depends on how fine the pepper will be. So if that's really tight, then you get fine pepper. Yeah? So you get like a really fine pepper, a really fine grind. And if it's looser, you get a thicker, more coarse grind in your pepper. So I don't think people know that. Well, I didn't know that, so therefore I assume that other people didn't know that. That's kind of quite fine. It needs filling up again. Maybe it's just because I use a lot of pepper. Alright, so that mixy there. then this into here like this, and then covered in the fridge for a couple of hours while I'm out. We'll just give it time to firm up. I think that feels about right. That feels about right. It looks about the right kind of ratio of chunky to smooth, methinks. Although it's not going to make a very substantial dinner, but anyway, that'll do. Right, so mousse in the fridge, and then we'll make some dim sum. I didn't want to have to do this. I've made pasta. So 1 egg to 100 grams of strong flour. So I've lost some on the floor already. So bit of water, and then we'll see if we can do this easily. I'll try and remember off the top of my head rather than watching the video again. So that, and then judge how much we want to put in. That much, maybe. I did really want to just buy some dim sum wrappers, but that didn't happen, did it? Too much. Too much. I've done it on the thinnest setting. I've also got some on a slightly thicker setting, so everything looks easy on the internet, doesn't it? She just kind of like did that and squished them together. Try again. She had small hands than me. That's not an excuse, is it? That's not an excuse. It's kind of like that. And then push. The problem with that is that we end up with that thick bit of pasta there. So maybe that's a little bit of a problem. But that, like that, and then she just kind of did that. I suppose it's that. That's almost it, isn't it? So I'll cut some more out, and we'll have another go, and then we'll try it with a thicker one as well. And then I thought we'll have a go at deep frying these as well. I think that'd be kind of quite nice. But they're alright, aren't they? Do you know, if you could just make them in one hand, rather than have to kind of faff around. And then I was thinking about this. So I was thinking about this on the way home in the car. So I've just come back from swimming, so I'm starving. Are we going to have a go at the thicker one? No, I'm not going to do the thicker one. I was kind of thinking that knowing the nature of people, so I can't imagine if you were back in the good old days, when people worked longer hours and times were tougher, I can't imagine those older Italian ladies, when they were feeding large families, would faff around with shaping pasta into fancy shapes. Well, not fancy shapes, but like fancy tortellonis, and all those type of things. I can't imagine they'd do that. I think they'd just do something like this, where they'd just squish it together. They wouldn't be bothered about. They'd just be bothered about getting food in everybody's mouth. Yeah, more than anything. So I think this would be more of a thing that they would do. That they would just push it together. Really should have watched the video again, shouldn't I? But just push together like that. Don't know how much we're going to make for this first batch, but we'll see. So I'm going to re-roll. I'm going to re-roll the wasted bits of pasta. Yeah, so there is a knack to everything, isn't there, in life? There's a knack to life, to be honest. There's a knack to life, but the idea is that we squeeze out as much as possible, and then so you do. That's relatively straightforward, isn't it? But doing it one-handed. Well, you'd do the quickest way possible, wouldn't you? So that, and that, and then see, that's no good because it's split that. So that means just to put too much in that. Like a little purse, isn't it? So we'll do a few more, and then we'll have to faff around with a bit of a broth type of thing, like a fishy broth. I've got a couple of ideas. Just do one more. Yeah, I should watch the video again. Maybe I will, and then I'll faff around with the broth and such. All right. I kind of think myself, it's horrible making things pretty, but something being pretty doesn't distract away from the flavour of something. So it doesn't matter if they look like that or fancy raviolis or tortellinis. It doesn't matter, does it? As long as the taste is the most important thing. Anyway, so faff around with a bit of broth. Might make a few. Might watch that video, and then we'll be back. Juice from the frozen prawns. So defrosted some prawns and the water that kind of comes out of them. That's what that broth is made out of. And then I put some ham stock in that was left over from work as well. I have decided to go slightly bigger with these just to make them slightly bigger. And then, so it was, she did a C shape and then put in and pushed down like that, and then did that. Oh, that didn't really work. And you kind of need to adjust them. Yeah, I probably need to practice at that. One more. Yeah, and then the one back's just a bit of ham stock, which we're gonna put in some fish paste, like fishy sandwich spread type of stuff. And then we'll kind of see how that works out. So, try it again. No, I'll put too much in that. It won't properly seal. That's what the problem is. If it's that's probably going to burst open as that one. We won't use that one. We'll use these instead. So a bit of faff. I will get my hand get around to it. So give that a taste. Smells fishy. Oh yeah, and put some chili and some ginger in. That's nice. That's nice. Right, so plonk these in and then see how we go. And then while we're here, fish paste. So fish paste. Spoon's not going to fit into that. So just put that in there and give it a mix around. Turn that one down the front. Down. Oh, we use a fork. There's no point messing about with my with a whisk. Does it make it cloudy? No, that's okay. That's not too bad. Oh, we can throw that one as well, can't we? Forgot about that one. That's that one, and then give it a taste. So this is just ham stock with a bit of. I'll show you. That. So sardine and tomato paste. From Morrison's, about 55p, something like that. How does that taste as a fishy stock? Surprisingly good. Surprisingly good. So that would work, wouldn't it? So put a bit of that in there as well. So we can use it as not just a sandwich spread, we can use it as a bit of fish stock. So how would if I didn't have any ham stock, what I would do is I'd use that and some chicken stock. So a chicken stock cube in some water with a bit of chili and a bit of ginger, and then that's what I'd poach my dim sums in. So they won't take long. So we'll pause and then we'll be back Might as well chuck those two in the one at the back and see what happens. Oh, it's a bit... let's put that on an angle somehow. That's a recipe for disaster, isn't it? And something at the back. The salt pot. Just needs to be a bit deeper. And we'll see how that turns out. You see, this is going to be a recipe for disaster, isn't it? That might work. Perch it, perch it, perch it. Perch it, not bird shit. So. That seems to have worked. I have to find myself a bowl. Hang on. Right, so they will be ready. So dish out dim sums. These should fry as well. And then bits of chilli and ginger to kind of show that there's a little bit of garnish. And then, make a mess of another spoon. This is where all the washing up comes from. Then just a little bit of the juice over the top of that. And then give them a taste and see what we think. I think it'd be nice. They're really good, those. I'm going to enjoy eating those for my tea. We will roll out some more pasta and then we'll have a go at deep frying it. Those have done okay. Those have done okay, the ones at the back. So, that's fine as well. So I'm going to have all of those for my dinner. And then we'll deep fry some and then we'll kind of see how those turn out. But that's a success so far. I've run out of space, so we'll have to be quick. So, in, pull out, squeeze. The secret is to wet the pastry when it's not in your hand. And then, so push down and squeeze like that. Let's give it a quick squeeze to see if it does that. Right, so I'll finish off and then we'll deep fry. Right, not too hot. Must be a gentle kind of poach in oil rather than a deep fry. These look like they're working. So, they look like they're working. We'll be back when they're cooked because I need to save space on my phone. Well, they worked, didn't they? So we'll test those, but while we're here and we've still got a tiny little bit of this mixture left, let's just plonk that in and see what happens. See if it actually needs something around the outside, or we can just use it as like a deep fried dumpling type of thing. And we'll taste one of these. They're puffed up on the outside. That's kind of quite nice. We'll see if what they're like. Alright. I haven't gone crispy like a proper wonton, but you know. But that's interesting, isn't it? So that's crisping up. So we could deep fry it and we could also shallow fry. So that's a success, isn't it? But of course it was going to work, wasn't it? Because it's going to be held together with the egg white. I don't think I put egg yolk in, but the egg white kind of works, doesn't it? And it makes a kind of fried, kind of frittery, seafoody burger type of thing. That's an idea, isn't it? Anyway, so some successes, some failures, but mostly successes. So that's success.